For thousands of years, humanity has looked up at the night sky and wondered a simple question: could we ever live somewhere else, not just visit, not just send robots, but truly live, build homes, raise families? Watch sunsets beneath another sky, and among all the worlds in our solar system, one planet has captured our imagination more than any other: Mars, the red planet, cold, silent, empty. At first glance, Mars doesn't look welcoming at all. It's a frozen desert covered in toxic dust, deadly radiation, and an atmosphere too thin for humans to breathe. Temperatures can plunge lower than Antarctica, and dust storms larger than entire continents can swallow the planet for months at a time, and yet, out of all the hostile worlds surrounding us, Mars may be the closest thing humanity has to a second home. But could humans actually live there one day, not for a few hours? Not for a scientific mission, but permanently? The answer is far more complicated and far more fascinating than most people realize. Because surviving on Mars would not just be a technological challenge, it would be a test of what it means to be human. Right now, Earth feels enormous, infinite even. But in cosmic terms, humanity lives on a tiny island floating through space. Every city ever built, every war ever fought, every person you have ever loved exists on one fragile planet protected by a thin layer of atmosphere. And history has taught us something important: no civilization lasts forever. Asteroids strike, volcanoes erupt, climate changes, stars die. Earth will not remain habitable forever. One day, whether millions or billions of years from now, humanity may need another world. And Mars is the first serious candidate, not because it's perfect, but because compared to every other planet around us, it's survivable, at least in theory. Mars is about half the size of Earth. If you stood on its surface, gravity would feel strange. You would weigh only about 38% of what you weigh on Earth. Walking would feel lighter, almost like moving in slow motion. The sky would look different too. Not blue, but a dusty orange-red, and the sunsets. Ironically, Martian sunsets glow blue. A reversal of Earth's sky, beautiful but unsettling, because everything about Mars would constantly remind you that you are not home. The first major problem humans would face is the atmosphere. Mars technically has air, but not the kind you could survive in. The atmosphere is over 95% carbon dioxide, with almost no oxygen. It's also incredibly thin, less than 1% the pressure of Earth's atmosphere. Without a spacesuit, a human on Mars would lose consciousness in seconds. Not because they'd freeze instantly like in movies, but because their blood would begin to boil from the low pressure. Mars is not a place where humans can simply step outside. Every breath would depend on technology. Every moment of survival would rely on machines working perfectly, and that changes the psychology of living there. On Earth, nature supports you automatically. The air is breathable. Water falls from the sky. Plants grow naturally. On Mars, the environment is actively trying to kill you. Your habitat becomes your entire world. A fragile artificial bubble surrounded by death, and then there's the radiation. Earth is protected by two invisible shields, a thick atmosphere and a powerful magnetic field. Mars has neither. Billions of years ago, Mars likely had rivers, lakes, and a thicker atmosphere. Some scientists believe it may once have been surprisingly Earth-like. But over time, the planet lost its magnetic field. Without that shield, solar radiation slowly stripped away much of the atmosphere, transforming Mars into the barren world we see today. Now, the surface is bombarded constantly by cosmic radiation from space. For humans, this is a serious problem. Long-term exposure could increase cancer risk, damage DNA, weaken the immune system, and potentially affect the brain itself. Astronauts living on Mars might need underground habitats or thick protective structures made from Martian soil just to survive safely. Imagine spending years underground on another planet, rarely seeing open skies. Would humans adapt psychologically to that kind of life, or would isolation slowly break us? Because Mars is not just physically distant, it's emotionally distant too. At its closest point, Mars is about 54 million kilometers from Earth, at its farthest, over 400 million kilometers away. Communication delays would make conversations impossible in real time. A simple message could take up to 20 minutes to arrive. Think about that. No instant calls, no live conversations with family, no immediate help during emergencies. The first humans on Mars would experience a level of isolation unlike anything in history. They would truly be alone, and yet, despite all these dangers, humanity keeps moving toward Mars. Why? Because Mars offers something no other planet does: possibility. Unlike Venus, Mars has a solid surface. Unlike the gas giants, humans could actually walk there. Unlike tiny moons drifting through deep space, Mars has resources. Frozen water exists beneath its surface and at its poles. That water could potentially be turned into drinking water, oxygen, and even rocket fuel. Martian soil may one day support agriculture inside controlled habitats. The planet also has a day surprisingly close to Earth's, about 24 hours and 37 minutes. That small detail matters more than you might think. It means humans could potentially adapt to Martian time without completely disrupting natural sleep cycles. Mars, in many ways, feels eerily familiar. Like a broken version of Earth, a cold memory of what our planet might have looked like billions of years ago, and humanity is already preparing. Right now, space agencies and private companies are developing technologies designed specifically for Mars missions. NASA has spent decades studying the planet using orbiters and rovers. Machines like Perseverance rover crawl across the Martian surface searching for signs of ancient life and testing future survival technologies. Meanwhile, companies like SpaceX dream openly about building entire cities on Mars. Some scientists believe humans could reach Mars within the next few decades. Others believe permanent settlements may happen before the end of this century. For the first time in history, colonizing another planet no longer feels like pure science fiction. It feels possible, difficult, dangerous, but possible. Still, there's a deeper question hiding beneath all of this. Even if we can live on Mars, should we? Because Mars would not simply be a backup Earth, it would change humanity itself. Children born on Mars might never adapt fully to Earth's gravity. Their bones and muscles could develop differently. Over generations, Martian humans might slowly become physically distinct from people on Earth. Imagine that. One species, split between two worlds, to branches of humanity evolving under different skies. And culturally, Mars would transform us too. The first Martian settlers would depend entirely on cooperation. Survival would require discipline, trust, and shared purpose. On Earth, society often feels divided by borders, politics, and conflict. But on Mars, survival might force humanity to become something more unified. Because when the nearest rescue mission is millions of kilometers away, people cannot afford to destroy each other. In a strange way, Mars might teach humanity how fragile civilization really is. But perhaps the most powerful reason humans dream about Mars is not survival. It's curiosity, the same force that pushed ancient sailors across oceans. The same force that led humanity to climb mountains, cross deserts, and walk on the moon. We explore because something deep inside us refuses to stay still. Mars represents the next horizon, a distant frontier calling to us across space. And maybe that's what makes the idea so emotional. Because for the first time, humanity stands at the edge of becoming a multi-planet species. For billions of years, life on Earth has existed on only one world. Every tree, every animal, every civilization has been confined to this single planet. But one day, human footprints may press into Martian dust permanently. One day, someone may look up from the surface of Mars and see Earth shining faintly in the night sky like a distant blue star. home tiny and far away. And that moment would change human history forever, but life on Mars would never be easy. There would be no oceans crashing against beaches. No breathable forests, no rain falling naturally from clouds. The first Martian cities would likely be enclosed domes, underground tunnels, and artificial habitats glowing against endless red deserts. Outside those walls would be silence, a silence deeper than anything on Earth. No birds. No insects, no rustling trees, just wind-moving dust across an alien world. And perhaps that loneliness would become the greatest challenge of all. Because humans are not just biological creatures, we are emotional creatures. We need sunlight, nature, human connection, familiarity. Mars would test whether the human spirit can survive as far from Earth as the human body can. And yet, despite every danger, every obstacle, every terrifying unknown, it still feels inevitable. Because history shows that once humanity believes something is possible, eventually someone attempts it. We crossed oceans once believed impossible to survive. We flew through skies humans were never meant to enter. We walked on the moon less than 70 years after inventing airplanes. Again and again, humanity turns impossible ideas into reality. Mars may simply be the next chapter, and maybe one day, centuries from now, children born beneath Martian skies will learn about Earth the way we learn about ancient civilizations. A distant birthplace, the world where humanity began. They may grow up under artificial sunlight, living inside vast colonies carved into rock, protected from radiation by layers of engineered structures. To them, Mars won't feel alien, it will feel like home. And perhaps that's the strangest thought of all. That one day, humans may stand on another world, look back toward the tiny blue planet where our species started, and realize that Earth was only the beginning because the universe is vast. And humanity has always been drawn toward the horizon, even when that horizon exists among the stars.